The following is a paid program. Advice and opinions expressed on the program are solely that of Nancy Zieman Sewing Studio, not necessarily WBEV or Good Karma Brands. Welcome in, everybody, to Taking Care of Business. Today I get the pleasure of sitting down with Deanna Springer from Nancy Zieman Sewing Studio. Always a pleasure talking with you.
Great to be here, Ninja.
You're always so high energy, always in a good mood, which I love. And it just makes me think that you can't be in a bad mood if you're sewing, if you're doing projects.
Sewing and quilting at the Nancy Zieman Sewing Studio. It's always a happy place.
You guys have a lot of fun over there, which I love. We're going to be talking about some fun stuff today. Before we dive too deep into things, I would like to give people some basic information. So one, how do they find you? And what's the phone number they can reach the store at?
The phone number for the store is 920. That was a good question. 920-356. 9546. I should have been prepared for that. 920-356-9546 is the Sewing Studio and Quilt Shop phone number direct to the store, the front of the store. And then on the World Wide Web, we're nzsewingstudio.com, which is nancyziemanSewingStudio.com, works as well. Awesome. And just come down to downtown Beaver Dam, right at the crosswalk, and visit us at the Sewing Studio.
You guys have kind of prime location right there, right in the heart of the Fine Arts District of Beaver Dam. It's a great location. And we're going to get to talking about that location. But for anybody who doesn't know, because maybe they were born under a rock or they're a transplant from some place where they didn't have TV or PBS or any of those sorts of things, give us a little background. Who is Nancy Zieman?
Who is Nancy Zieman? Nancy Zieman is our good friend and neighbor and founder of Nancy Zieman Productions, our parent company. And also, for people that have been around a long time, founder of Nancy's Notions, which was headquartered here in her hometown. And Nancy was the producer and host of the long-time television series on public television, Sewing with Nancy. So we're still on public television for 43 years. We started in 1983, Sewing with Nancy, and unfortunately we lost Nancy due to cancer in 2017. So in 2021, Nancy's husband said, we have a community to support. You need to open a store. So we opened the Nancy Zieman Sewing Studio and Quilt Shop in downtown Beaver Dam.
That is awesome. And I know a lot of people maybe didn't understand the ties that Nancy had to the community because, Beaver Dam, we're the biggest city in Dodge County, but we're not exactly the biggest city in Wisconsin.
Right, and it's not where Nancy is from. Nancy's from Winneconne, which is up by Oshkosh, but her husband, Richard Zieman, was born and raised in Beaver Dam. So they met in Chicago when Nancy was working. Nancy and Richard were both working at a fabric store. And they met, they started dating, married, and moved back to raise their family here in Beaver Dam.
And somehow this love and passion she had for sewing and making it approachable and relatable then eventually translated into a show and a whole business.
Right.
And now it's a legacy that's being carried on by you and the Stitchett sisters.
Exactly. So Nancy built her first business teaching people how to sew and quilt. And grew it into a really large business, Nancy's Notions, and then sold that business. And Nancy and I carried on with Nancy Zieman Productions, producing Sewing with Nancy, co-producing the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show with PBS Wisconsin, and designing tools and patterns and fabrics for the sewing and quilting community. So we continue that, and now we're back with a store and teach Nancy's time-saving tips for sewing and quilting. So you can throw all those old home ec rules out the window, and we'll teach you the easy way and the fun way to sew. Sewing is fun.
It definitely is. I'm an avid sewer myself, love doing it. I taught my wife to sew. And I remember as a kid watching PBS, you stay home sick, and it's like, okay, we watch The Price is Right. And then before Mom would start watching like her shows in the afternoon, you could catch a glimpse of Nancy Zieman's show.
Right, after Mr. Rogers was over.
Right, and I mean, perfect timing, too, following up Mr. Rogers. But it was such an amazing show to watch, and it was so approachable that even as a kid, I was like, oh, I could do this. I could learn how to do this.
It's just a process. It's a process that Nancy was gifted to break down step by step and make it easy and fun. Whether you're sewing a pillowcase or you're sewing a big bed quilt, the process is just breaking it down, easy, chewable bites, step by step, the Nancy Zieman way.
Now, of course, those who've been in the community for a while remember when we had those big sales that would happen, those big weekends, and people would come from all
The
over the
May
world.
sewing weekend,
Oh, it
yes.
was amazing. I remember we would go every year when me and my wife moved back to Wisconsin. You know, we lived within walking distance, which was great because parking was kind of a pain.
Right.
But we'd walk down, and it was just amazing, all the stuff that was there. And then when we heard everything was closing down and going away, it was a sad moment.
We all missed it. And our sewing and quilting community missed it too. So we brought it back. We brought it back virtually during the pandemic.
Right.
We were doing our Sew Quilt Create weekend annually in May. Annually in May, the weekend after Mother's Day is always our May Sew Quilt Create event. And this year we're changing it up. We're doing a grand opening event of our new garment sewing space.
See, this is really exciting for me because, you know, one, it's May, so I expect something to be happening. And you guys picked the same weekend right after Mother's Day. And this is a huge announcement for you guys because you have a nice little space there in downtown Beaver Dam, but it's not going to be so little anymore.
Right. If you've been to the original store, it's at 120 Front Street. And we started as the Nancy Zieman Sewing Studio. Oh, and about a year ago, January, we added and quilt shop. So we're the Nancy Zieman Sewing Studio and quilt shop. And we expanded our space into 2 storefronts. So the main store is at 120 Front Street. We added 116 as our event space and classroom space. We have a small classroom in our main store, but we quickly outgrew it. So we added what people remember as the old Book World building. That's 116 Front Street. And then there was always that building in between us, 118 Front Street. It became available. We leased it in March, and we've moved all of our garment sewing, our polar fleeces, anything that's non-quilt into that new space. So the space came with a crystal chandelier, so I named it the Garment Sewing Boutique.
I like it. I like that a lot. And I mean, what you guys have there it really carries on the tradition of, you know, one, it's very open, it's very friendly. When people come in, you know, whether you have years of experience or you have no idea what you're doing, you guys approach everybody with that same open-mindedness and how can we help you? You know, what project do you want to do? And I know we had in the past here for the radio station, our own Sherry Sackett sat down and with a little bit of help, this was back when I had the long hair.
Right.
Made me a great headband to wear. I still have it. I still occasionally throw it on when I'm doing work in the yard. It's great. And it holds up beautifully. And
Right.
it's something where, you know, she wasn't really a seamstress. That wasn't her thing.
No, but within, I think, 5 minutes, I taught Sherry how to serge a skirt. We used a serger and sewed with knits, and you can turn 1 yard of knit fabric into a skirt with some nice 3-inch wide elastic. And then from the scraps, we made you a surprise headband.
That's right. I remember that. It was from the scraps, which just shows the, you know, the ingenuity that sewers can have. And, you know, there's a lot of waste not, want not, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And when you come into the sewing studio, we ask, what are you sewing today? What are you making today? Sometimes people are matching fabrics for their quilt they're making, or they're just coming in for inspiration because we have something new every week. We have new fabrics coming in every 2 weeks. So there's always something new at the sewing studio.
Now, one thing I'm going to give you guys a lot of credit for is obviously a lot of people know that the crafting world lost a great recently in the sense of Joann's closing everywhere and shutting down. But you know, for people like me who prefer those smaller hometown, you know, fabric stores, it's a heyday. I love it.
It's small, it's bright. I shouldn't say it's small, we're expanding, but it's bright, it's well lit. And the biggest thing we have is quality fabrics. You want to sew with quality fabrics, quality threads, quality notions. You're putting the time into making a project. You want it to come out right, and you want it to last long. You mentioned your headband.
Right.
That's our crepe knit, only the best quality crepe knit. So you want your projects after you make them to hold up, to look beautiful, to last a lifetime.
Now, one thing I remember a lot about the store is you guys don't just have the fabric, you guys have the notions, those little add-on pieces, but you guys also have machines there that not only can people buy from you, but they can kind of learn how they work.
Right. We have Bernina sewing machines, and we have Burnett sewing machines made by Bernina. And we're actually the rookie Bernina Dealer of the Year.
Oh, really?
So, yeah,
cool.
we've been recognized by Bernina as being a brand new dealer within the Bernina brand. And I'm glad you brought that up because part of our grand opening, we'll have our best sales on sewing machines during the grand reopening May 15, 16, and 17. You can get into a sewing machine as little as $229.
That's an awesome value, and I mean it's an investment in, you know, a lot of things. I think about how expensive it is now, especially for kids, you know, buying clothes for them. having the ability to make little repairs, hem up pants that don't quite fit. You know, I was a product of hand-me-downs. And so a lot of times, you know, clothes would get dropped off at our household that maybe belonged to my cousin. And my cousin happens to be 8 inches taller than me. Got to make some adjustments. Gotta make it work.
Shorten those pants.
Absolutely. And that's something, you know, having that sewing machine at home, having those skills, even something as basic as that, meant that that hem stayed in place. Everything stayed real nice. And in some cases, it could be done in a reversible fashion. So heaven forbid I get a growth spurt. Never happened.
Right.
You know,
my mom planned on it. She would hem our corduroy pants up like 4 to 6 inches.
Right.
They could grow into these, you know, over the school year. Sometimes we did, but
I grew into them more around than up, but you know, that's okay.
right. Yeah. So I'm glad that you're carrying on the sewing and teaching your kids how to sew too. It's a basic thing.
Right.
You know, when you lose a button off a shirt, you don't have to take that to the dry cleaners. You can take care of it yourself and do those little repairs. And especially with all the classes we have at the sewing studio and quilt shop, anything you want to learn how to sew, we can teach you how to sew.
And some of it may seem unapproachable or complicated, but it really doesn't have to be. I know you mentioned buttons. We as a team, we're getting ready for the Wisconsin broadcast. There you go. Not a bad idea to have those around the office. I got this wonderful flyer here that you guys have put out that outlines a lot of the cool stuff that's happening. Now, again, this is happening Thursday through Saturday, so 15th, 16th, 17th. I see the hours here, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Is that the standard store hours?
That's a special extended store hours during the sale. Usually we're open 10 to 4, and we're always closed on Sunday. So this event is Thursday through Saturday, 3 big days. All 3 stores will be open, front doors. You can tour each one of the spaces, the main quilt store, the garment sewing area, and our events classroom space will be open, full of vendors. And our top brands will be on display with demonstrators. You can ask all the questions you want. It'll be the largest team of the year, so we're taking over downtown Beaver Dam this weekend.
I feel like that kind of harkens back to the old events.
It's what we know how to do.
Yeah. And that's wonderful. I love that. Now, I haven't had a chance to walk over there and check out the stores yet. Is there access from store to store to store without going outside?
Through the front.
Okay.
Actually, at 120, our main store, 120 Front Street, the quilt shop, and 118, we have a doorway. So when we purchased the building, 120 Front Street in 2000 it was 2021 in July. There was a doorway there to begin with, so we knew it was there. So when we added the space, the 118 space in March, my husband Dennis, my Stitch-It Mister, is great with the power tools too. He cut open that doorway, so there is an opening between 120 and 118, and then to access 116, the front doors. But we'll have all the front doors open. You can go in and out, see all the different fabrics, all of the different notions, and all of the sale items. We have a lot of promo items this week.
That's awesome. Now, is this flyer available? Is it coming in the paper?
It
is it coming
is.
in the mail?
It is. It's actually on our website, nzsewingstudio.com or nancyzemansewingstudio.com. You can see the flyer. You can come into the store, pick one up on the counter, and we can go through a little bit of it. Right on the front page, it shows a new picture of our newly expanded quilt shop area. Loads of fabric. I should count how many bolts, thousands of bolts of fabrics. And we have a free prize drawing. So we're giving away a Bernina 485 sewing machine.
Oh,
that's our
awesome.
biggest sewing machine giveaway ever, record breaking. So come in and sign up for the free sewing machine. And if you come in and say, hey, I heard Deanna on the radio, you can be put into an extra prize drawing for a $100 gift card.
Oh, that's awesome. So you heard that here. Come in, say you heard Deanna on the radio, and get yourself in that extra drawing.
And then as we peruse the event guide, you'll see that we have 2 sit and sew classes. This week is the last week up to sign up. Sign up by Wednesday for our sit and sew with Donna Ballar. She'll be doing the free motion quilting on the new Bernina hoop frame. So that's quilting your layers together, your quilt top, your batting, your backing. We'll show you how to do it on the new smaller hoop frame that you can stand or sit next to and make your quilts, quilt your quilts into finished pieces. We also have Richard Tharp coming in with Sashiko inspired table runner. Now this looks like Sashiko is a Japanese handwork.
Okay.
He's doing it all with a sewing machine. So you'll learn how to manipulate those decorative stitches. All of us have those decorative stitches on our sewing machines, but
Right.
we rarely use them.
Right. We see them. We're like, okay, bye.
Someday I'll use that
Right.
stitch. Well, we're using them this week, and we'll do little 8.5-inch blocks and make stitching samplers, and then we'll pull it all together with a serger.
That is really cool. And I got to go back to talking about the quilting thing here.
Oh, sure.
So, I mean, that's such a cool project. I know a lot of people that have gotten as far as taking the fabric, sewing it together, getting the pattern, but then it's still just
It's a
big
quilt
sewn
top.
together sheet. Yeah, quilt
It's
top.
a quilt top.
It needs more to it.
Right.
And so bringing those things together, I know in the past, I don't know if this is still a service you guys offer, but in the past, people could bring that in and get that kind
To
of
different services. You
combined.
take it to a long arm quilter. Right. We sell the machines to long arm quilters and to home quilters
So I'm
so
supposed
that
you
you
guys
can do
know
that
who you
process.
could refer 'em to
Oh,
if they need
yes.
to get that
We have a
done.
card deck at the front register if you're looking for a machine quilter to finish your quilt tops into quilts. But we also sell all of the machines available in the marketplace from Bernina, from the big pro frame that the pros use, and even people that sew every week own their own long arm pro frame, to the studio frame, to the sit down where you move the fabric. The machine stays stationary and you move your fabric layers on a sit down. Now there's this brand new hoop frame from Bernina that's a small, compact, 5-foot size, and you can quilt a table runner to a king size quilt. And we'll be demonstrating that all during our grand opening.
Well, that's awesome because I mean, something that size is, if you got a home, craft a room or whatever, that's fairly accessible.
And it's accessible, and now the price is accessible too because of the smaller, compact size. So very impressive. We're very impressed with the new Bernina hoop frame. So impressed that we've turned our former classroom in the main store into a long arm quilting studio. We've outfitted the classroom with 7 hoop frames.
Oh, wow.
So you'll be able to come in, take a class, and try it.
Now, can people come in and take the class and try it before buying one in case they're not even sure it's something
Absolutely.
they want? So it's
a
not
lot
like
of
you have to buy
people
the
do
machine
that.
to take the class.
Right. No, you take the classes. Whenever you take our classes at the sewing studio, we provide the machines, all the supplies. You bring yourself. You bring yourself and a water bottle and maybe a cushion. So some people like to sit up higher when they sew, including me. So I like to sit on a cushion. And then you can sew on the machine, see all the different features of the machine. We're there to help you through it. And you make a project while learning new techniques. And hey, if you fall in love with that sewing machine, we're having the best classroom prices. So those machines have been opened. They're not brand new in the box. They're going to be at exceptional savings.
That is really, really awesome. Let's talk about a little bit more what you guys got here. I'm looking at the next page, and I'm seeing a lot of really cool products, and I'm seeing a lot of slashed prices as well. Let's run through.
Sure. Some of the biggest bonus
Yeah.
deals of the year are this Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So with Bernina, we're doing a great sale on the Bernina sit-down machine. So again, a long-arm quilting machine. You can get that into your home for as low as $5,999. And I should mention, with Bernina, we're having 0% financing. So you don't hear about 0% financing a whole lot right now.
No, you definitely don't.
We are doing it with your Bernina credit card. You can come in today, tomorrow, Wednesday, any day. Come in and apply for a Bernina credit card, and then you can take advantage of that 0% financing on your machine purchases. We have the Burnett 08 straight stitcher, a Ninja. I know you'd love this machine. This machine stitches really fast. It can sew, I think, 1,500 stitches a minute, or it can. all the patchabilities on display. Those are mini applique projects. So if you wanted to try applique, patchabilities is the way to go.
I've seen that on where they maybe do the standard square pattern on a quilt, but then they might have like a bird or a flower that gets
Exactly.
put on and sewn on.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's applique. Applique also, you see the varsity jerseys, the football jersey,
Yeah.
all those numbers everywhere are, unless they're screen printed,
Right.
are appliqued into place. We'll have Schmetz needles on sale. You change your sewing machine needle with every new project. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make is not changing your sewing machine needle until it breaks.
Right. And unfortunately, when those needles get dull, instead of piercing through, they tear the fabric, cause other problems.
Right, skip stitches. So if you're having problems, first thing, rethread your machine, change your needle. That should fix it. Fabric is now up to $20 a yard and beyond, depending on if it's specialty. So the next promo we have is $5 1 yard fabric cuts. Are you kidding me? We paid more for it than that.
Right.
So,
And that's awesome because you talk about 1 yard cut. I mean, again, that's what you used to make that skirt with Sherry Sackett.
Right.
And there was leftover for another project.
and that's
So-
what you need to make a pillowcase. So you can
Perfect.
do a lot with 1 yard cuts. You can buy 6, 8, 10 different 1 yard cuts and make a quilt. So that quilting fabrics will be select quilting fabrics that are retired, can't get them anymore. We're blowing them out for $5 a yard.
There you go.
And then Cherrywood hand-dyed fabrics. We worked with Cherrywood. They're out of Minnesota. A good friend of mine, Carla, owns that company. And I'm like, Carla, do you have any promo goods that we could promote during our event? And she sent in yards of Cherrywood hand-dyed fabrics, hand-dyed like 7 different times sometimes, right in Minnesota. So we're having fat quarters for $6. So Ninja, do you know what a fat quarter is?
So is that a quarter of a yard?
It is a quarter of a yard. A quarter of a yard is usually 9 inches by 42 inches.
Right.
So if you open up 1 yard of fabric and cut it down the middle and then cut it crosswise, kind of a big plus,
Right.
that's a fat quarter, which is 18 by 22 inches. It gives you more real estate
Nice.
to make your quilting pieces.
I like that a lot. Now, I noticed something on here, and there's some interesting wording, and I love it because you're talking about further down on this page the Bernina hoop frame that's new, and mentioning pre-tariff pricing because a lot of these things, parts and things, interiors, a lot of stuff, even if the machine happens to be made here, things come from elsewhere.
Right.
And so everything's being affected by prices, and we don't know what prices are going to do.
We don't. It's a big
So-
question right now.
Having the ability to not only look at 0% interest and some great sales prices, but knowing that you're getting the prices before they potentially go up.
Right. And we know prices are going up. We've already received price increases from our manufacturers. The great news for our customers and the people shopping our grand opening event this weekend, we purchased before any price increases went into effect. So we honor those prices and pass the savings along to our customers. So that hoop frame you're looking at comes with the machine. So you can buy that hoop frame, Bernina hoop frame, and again, that's for quilting your quilt layers together. You can buy that with the Bernina machine, or you can put your own machine on this hoop frame. So you can take your domestic machine,
Right.
and you can put this on the hoop frame, and you can turn your domestic machine into a quilting machine, Ninja.
I mean, as much fun as I would have doing that, my wife would yell at me for getting another toy. But maybe if I convince her it's for her. Maybe that's what we got to do.
Right. And it's for the people that have been sewing quilting for a while. And then the next page is our biggest classroom machine sale ever. So it's time to refresh our classroom machines. I mentioned earlier that our classroom is set. We outfit the classroom with sewing machines and sergers, Bernina sewing machines and sergers. So it's time to refresh. They've been in the classroom for a few months, and then it's time to pass the savings on to you. So the classroom machines will be at great prices, full warranty, and you can still take advantage of that 0% Bernina credit card financing.
That is awesome. And I will say, up until we bought a serger, I had no idea how cool they were and how useful they were.
Sergers are a game changer.
I always found other ways, like you roll the hem of the fabric over 2 or 3 times and then try and stitch it, whatever. But, oh my goodness, they are amazing. So phenomenal that those are going to be on hand. And obviously, there's going to be limited quantities of that 'cause
Right.
it's the classroom models.
It's the classroom models. We'll
So-
have 12 classroom machines and 12 classroom surgers that will be at phenomenal pricing. So all you have to do is come in and talk with our sales team. I'll be in the Bernina area. You come in and see me and say, Deanna, what do you have for classroom machines? And I'll go through the different options for you. And you can see there, and into the upper left is the Bernina 735 Patchwork Edition. Those are highly sought after. Those are collector's items. There was a limited amount made. We have the last two. Bernina doesn't have any anymore. So, and it comes with a red walking foot to match the red front machine.
Well, that's cool. And red just makes it feel like a hot rod, so nothing wrong with that. As we are hitting the halfway point in the show, I do want to remind people this is a paid program. The advice and opinions expressed on the program are solely that. Reopening, so to speak, happening this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, May 15th, 16th, 17th, 9 to 5, extended hours for that. And again, this is your new expanded store space that you have here in downtown Beaver Dam.
3 storefronts. If you haven't been to see us for a while, or if you've never been to see us, this weekend is the time to come down. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Parking available behind the store in the city lot on Maple, on the city lot on the corner of Center. things with those art quilts and garments and beyond. Handbags is a huge thing too.
Oh, I can imagine. Now we're going to go to the last page here, and it's listing off some special buys that you guys have going on, and these are going to be ones that are there at the event as well.
Right, these are there at the event. This is special buys from Bernina, so you can have a one of the most popular machines from Bernina is the Bernina 570 Quilters Edition. It comes with a 1/4-inch quilting foot. You can do all your sewing you want. Plus, when it comes to time to piecing quilts, rather, you have everything you need. And for $34.99, that's usually a $5,000 machine. So you can get into to a serious machine for $34.99. Great ideas. And then you can add that machine embroidery to it for $1,000 more. You add that unit, that embroidery module. So you can go home with both the embroidery and the sewing, or you can just start with the sewing and add the embroidery later. There are so many options nowadays.
I am blown away. How do you keep all of this straight?
Like Nancy always said, eat that elephant one bite at a time. So I'm learning every day. Our customers learn every day. I learn every day. And I was in training in Chicago last week for 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, learning all about the new serger, the hoop frame, and we spent a day on the new Bernina 990. So it's phenomenal what these machines can do. And you don't have to be intimidated. You learn it in little bite-sized nuggets. If you learn it all at once, we're not going to remember it anyway, right?
Right.
So we teach in little nuggets until you have that figured out, and then we move on to the next step.
Now, obviously, you guys aren't going to get frustrated if somebody like me comes in and I have a question every other week or whatever. You guys are there to help.
We are.
Which I absolutely appreciate and love. I do want to take a moment to talk about not too far from the front doors. If you are there in the building, there is a beautiful mural that is there to honor Nancy Zieman. So I highly recommend if you're downtown during the event, maybe go take a picture by it.
Right. And you know you've landed at the back of our store when you see the Nancy Zieman mosaic mural. It's on the BDACT Theater, the Beaver Dam Area Community Theater, and it's a community project that was done at the Wisconsin Arts and Peony Fest, doing a mural each year. And it's 144 different tiles that were painted by 144 different community members. And once those tiles come together, 12-inch tiles, it's the portrait of Nancy. So that Richard Zieman gave permission for that mural to be created. At the same time, we were looking for a store. This building became available. Okay, this is where our new home is.
It is perfect. And for me, I love the juxtaposition of it being pieced together, kind of quilted together to create that image, which I imagine Nancy would have absolutely loved.
Right. Yeah. She never wanted a billboard of herself out on, Highway 151, wagging people in like Las Vegas. But this is a piece of art, and it's very much like a mosaic quilt.
While we got a few minutes left, I just wanted to take a moment to, kind of let you share, what it means for you to be carrying on this tradition, for you to be embraced like you are in the Beaver Dam community. Just give us a rundown of how it is for you.
I had the honor of working with Nancy for 27 years before she passed away. And I started working with Nancy in 1989, shortly after high school. And our backgrounds were similar, that we both were in 4-H, we both learned to sew, our mother sewed, our grandmother sewed. And we clicked right away in the beginning, and we started working really closely together in 1999. I became her executive administrative assistant, and boy, we got the work done. Expanded things like the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show. And we had a marketing guru come in one time and say, Nancy, you and Deanna need to work together closely, and you'll do great things. And he was right. She always thought marketing gurus were kind of goofy, but he was right. And we spent many days traveling together, sharing hotel rooms. We were always watching the budget, and she was like a big sister to me. And she taught me everything I know about running a business. So many gifts from teaching her methods of sewing, fitting patterns, garment patterns. So it was like I went to the College of Nancy Zieman. So all of her methods and techniques, and of course her family is like family to me. It's what I know how to do. It's what we know how to do. Carry on, continue sewing and quilting and teaching the Nancy Zieman way. It's a high honor to be entrusted with that.
That is awesome, and it's a great story. I mean, everything from your guys' connection to Nancy and how you've carried it on. Again, the museum is a beautiful honor piece with a mural outside. It all comes together like a perfectly done quilt. I can't think of a better way to say it than that.
Well said.
Reminding everybody again, that's going to be happening. This is the Nancy Zieman Sewing Studio and Quilt Shop grand reopening event that's happening, and that is downtown Beaver Dam. That is, of course, right there in the heart of the Fine Arts District, which is exactly where it should be. Thursday through Saturday, May 15th through the 17th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I'm reminded that if people want to check out stuff, they can go online, NZ Sewing Studio or Nancy Zieman Sewing Studio, either one.com, to check it out online. Remind people again, real quick, about the special classes that are happening.
The special classes will be happening Thursday and Friday, so you want to sign up by this Wednesday so we can prepare your kit for you. You can learn how to use the new Bernina hoop frame. We'll be machine quilting, wall hanging size, table runner size quilt that you'll be able to take with you. You'll learn how to manipulate the machine, which is super easy. You'll be hooked on machine quilting. If you've ever tried machine quilting, throw it out the window and start with this Bernina hoop frame. It's amazing. You grab those handles and it just goes so smoothly that you'll fall in love with machine quilting. And then Richard Tharp will be here with his amazing techniques of a sashiko table runner where we'll manipulate those decorative stitches. We'll try 6 different stitches at least, and then we'll piece it all together with an L890 serger. It's not just a serger, it's a cover stitch machine, so you can hem with that L890 serger and serge with it as well.
And then, of course, tons of prizes available and great sales prices all over the store. Again, we'll throw out their prizes from Bernina, Burnett, Laura Starr, Horn, Clover, AccuQuilt, June Taylor, OESD, Patchabilities Patterns, Schmetz Needles. Goodness gracious, the list goes on and on and on, as well as those wonderful fabrics. And, of course, you guys will have some prizes there as well. And then remind everybody who's the surprise guest that's coming.
Oh, Mary Malari is coming in this week, our most frequent guest on Sewing with Nancy, and she'll be showing her Take 4 tunic and apron sewing information. And it's our biggest store sale of the year. This is the week to come in. If you haven't been in, come in, see what we have to offer, and learn more about the Nancy Zieman Sewing Studio and Quilt Shop.
There you go. Well worth checking out, I think. And I imagine on Sunday you're going to be due for quite a nap after all the busy festivities.
Or a reset and put it all back together.
Right. Save that for Monday, I guess. And, of course, I do want to remind people the phone number to get a hold of you. Make sure you got this right, 920-356-9546.
Correct.
And that's if you want to call the store. Should they call the store if they want to register for the classes, or can they stop in?
They can do that. They can stop in at 120 Front Street in downtown Beaver Dam, or go to nzsewingstudio.com and register right online. You can do it right from your smartphone.
There you go. Makes it nice and easy. And, of course, that's where you can find the flyer and start planning your own visit to the store this weekend. I am pretty positive you're going to see me in there.
Awesome. I look forward to it, Ninja.
Awesome. Deanna Springer with the Stitch It Sisters and Nancy Zieman Sewing Studio and Quilt Shop here on Taking Care of Business. The advice and opinions expressed during the program are solely that of the Nancy Zieman Sewing Studio and Quilt Shop, not necessarily WBEV or Good Karma Brands.